Hey forum, my name is Manny, aka CascadeScents. Welcome to another video. As you see by the title, this one is on my most complimented fragrances that you've never heard of. To be fair there, I'm sure more than a few of you have heard of some of these, but largely speaking, these aren't commonly mentioned as some of everyone else's most complimented fragrances, although I've had some success as far as this feedback category. Therefore, I can say that this is a genuine list for me, but as always, results will vary. With that being said, I'm very excited to get this list underway for you, so we might as well start off by talking about the first one. This one is called Sunset Riot by designer brand Allsaints. Now I'm surprised that this stuff in Sunset Riot isn't receiving as much uproar as I think it should, seeing as it is inspired from one of the more successful niche fragrances out there currently in Baccarat Rouge 540. But since it's not receiving that much hype as an alternative, is it because people are just that much hung up on the OG? Is this stuff bad? I'm not sure. Maybe it's also perhaps due to the lack of marketing that I think Allsaints is putting in with this, or into this line rather. Who knows? Regardless, I still think that this stuff is a lovely alternative, and you might be wondering, how is it different? Here, this stuff is mainly characterized by the pink pepper and the orange flower notes, providing a nice pop in your nose and almost a candy-ish citrus floral accord that's reminiscent to the sweets of something like Baccarat Rouge 540 Eau de Parfum, of course. It doesn't remotely come off as ruby or candy-ish as far as a crystallized way. Instead, again, it feels more like a summery version of Baccarat Rouge 540, which I think is really cool, because sometimes you want to have that type of projection cloud or sillage as far as when you walk by someone in the summer, but you don't completely want to choke them out as well with how beastly Baccarat Rouge is. So it goes without saying that this stuff sits a lot closer to the skin, although the longevity here is still no slouch if you ask me. I'm getting a good 6 to 7 hours with it. And yeah, I just feel like it's pretty solid for just under $1 per ml. But yeah, don't expect much evolution throughout the scent. There's not much of a woody base here if you ask me. This stuff just rather accentuates the brighter parts of Baccarat Rouge. It doesn't exactly make it more crowd pleasing, but rather approachable, if that makes any sense. And is as a result still no slouch in the compliment department. So if you value that, I think this stuff is definitely a worthy alternative to Baccarat Rouge 540. And again, especially if you're looking for something lighter. So check this out if you've yet to. It is Sunset Riot by Allsaints. Now moving on to the next most complimented fragrance you've never heard of. This one is called Kajal Homme. It's by Kajal. This is Kajal's flagship, more masculine catch-all scent, and I think it does a good job of being very catch-all. So to achieve that positive feedback, here it's characterized with a really fruity opening that kind of leans more deep sweetish, if that makes any sense. So the mandarin, the ruby red grapefruit, the cassis don't lean sharp, but again, sweeter, which makes sense because I think it's paired more beautifully with some of the warmer mid notes. And here's where I think the scent starts to shine. Here you have stuff like cashmeran, which is going to provide you with an enveloping effect, and then with the cardamom as well to also provide you with that effect, but with a little bit of bite and kick into your nose. I think it's just relatively awesome as far as that scent cloud, which I feel is mainly projecting that kind of stuff. And I feel like if people were to come closer into your scent cloud, you're getting a little bit of that tonka bean as well, or if you're me, you're getting a lot of it, just because I feel like coumarin tends to project off my skin heavily. Anything syrupy or sweet is just going to do well off of me. So if the noses around you can't get enough of that, then you're in luck. And yeah, I feel like with this stuff right here, it's like one of those all-rounder type of compliment getter type scents. I really do believe that you can rock this stuff for any time of the year, and if you need to go extra sprays and have this last longer throughout the winter time, it's going to work. And maybe with just 2 or 3 sprays throughout the summer if you really want to make this work too, say if you don't want to go for something that's a little bit more fleeting. I especially think that the fruits and spice here are just going to beautifully project off of your skin. At least again, it does mine. And I must say about the scent, and I definitely don't think that this stuff gets enough credit for what I'm about to say, is that I feel like it's such a good starter niche scent. Because again, A, it lasts, B, it's friendly, C, it's definitely of quality, D, it still feels kind of familiar for a designer fragrance enthusiast just getting their beak wet into the niche. Just saying, this might be especially good for you. And if you look up the brand Kajal, thankfully this stuff is a little bit more forgiving on the price point in comparison to some of their other stuff. So definitely check out this more than under the radar compliment getter. Again, it's Kajal Homme by Kajal. Alright forum, moving on to the next fragrance on this most complimented fragrances list you've never heard of. And this fragrance hails from a brand that everyone knows, whether it is in fashion and or fragrance, and it's Dior. So this one is called Higher. And I did say this upon mentioning this stuff's flank flanker and higher energy a few videos ago, that some of my fellow North Americans might not remember the scent because it might have been discontinued in North America before some of you guys got into fragrance. So no, this stuff is not discontinued overall. It's only sold in Europe and some other parts of the world. So it's kind of weird how Dior has more European exclusives that some people tend to forget about. But I guess some of these just might have been dogs in certain areas of the world, which is weird because this stuff has done so well for me in the feedback department over the past few months. But what I like about Higher here, and I think what everyone else likes about Higher, is how darn refreshing the stuff is. Like, it genuinely feels like it's fresh on like an altitude kind of level. So the name here is very appropriate in Higher because it just feels like I'm kind of high up somewhere and I'm kind of sniffing the dew, if that makes any sense. And while this stuff's flanker and higher energy kind of takes a fruitier approach to that kind of sensation, this one is a little bit more unbridled when it comes to that fresh sensation. So to achieve that feeling here, you have a lot of basil. Helps spice things up in an herbal green way, and for me, I really appreciate that. It's blended quite well with a little bit of fruitiness here from the pear, and then when you pair that with a slightly warm spicy kick in the cardamom, that right there helps this stuff spread out its scent cloud a little bit more, especially in the heat. This stuff is just going to feel super awesome. So in closing about Higher, I will say that if you are on vacation in the near future post COVID-19, you are able to sniff this out at a duty-free and or a Dior boutique. Honestly, spend some time with this one. Let me know what you think. So again, if you don't know, now you know. It's Higher by Christian Dior. Alright, before moving on to the next most complimentary fragrance you've never heard of, this one is another niche one. It's by Xerjoff. It's called Cambridge Club. Now, part of why you might not know this one is because it is a Harvey Nichols exclusive. Harvey Nichols is actually a luxury goods department store out in the UK. So it goes without saying that this stuff is not easy to get unless, of course, you live in the British Isles. But I definitely do think it's worth pursuing or getting to know someone who can pursue this for you, rather. Because, again, my results speak for themselves, or at least for me it does. Because, boy, does this stuff smell so darn good. Here we're talking a friendlier take on rose and rose absolutes. It doesn't scream too much as a voluptuous rose that some guys are apprehensive about, maybe in the roses of Frederic Malle fragrances like Une Rose or Portrait of a Lady, for example. Trust me, here it's rather palatable, and it's mainly because of how much you're getting out of the sweets department. This stuff is loaded with caramel and vanilla bourbon, so if you're into a more intoxicating effect of sweets, I think this stuff is brilliant. Like in the first few hours, it's going to hit your nose like a rose, if that makes any sense, with the hints of those sweeter notes starting to come out. But again, just the longer this lasts, the sweeter it gets. And trust me, it's going to last for a long time. It is a Xerjoff after all. They kind of do scream more often than not. And I must say, for a sweeter rose variant, this is right up there for me. It's not as unbridled as stuff like Oud Satin Mood Eau de Parfum by Maison Francis Kurkdjian, for example. If you find that stuff to be too sweet as far as a rose vanilla oud combo, then maybe this is something that I would look for. Like for your fall and or winter situations, I feel like this stuff is just right. You know, for a really nice night out, a date, definitely a scent that I would reserve for the people I love the most. And yeah, hopefully I'll be spending time with people like that in the near future. So you best believe when COVID starts to subside towards the fall, I will definitely be reaching for this stuff, and hopefully, again, you guys could somehow acquire this too, or try it rather. I'm not out here actually advocating blind buying, but it is rather nice for doing sweeter rose absolutes just right. You know, for your gender-bendery unisex approach to fragrance. Again, it's exclusive to Harvey Nichols Cambridge Club by Xerjoff. Alright, for moving on to the next most complimented fragrance that you might have never heard of. Here we go. Another designer one. It's by Homme. It is Amber Malaki. Now, it's scents like these that make me want to furthermore believe in designer perfumery again. A lot of people think that designer perfumery is dead as far as what they're getting out of their most mainstream houses out there. A lot of them are starting to favor more of the same aroma chemicals on the fresh side of things. So we're talking the YSLs, the Armanis, the Chanels, the Diors, brands like that. And trust me, look no further than Homme and their Malaki line for some of these alternative offerings on some of your favorite notes like musk, oud, amber. And as far as that amber, I feel like it is the best here in Amber Malaki. Kind of a weird concoction at first because you do get a blast of incense and orange blossom at the top, and that's kind of rough admittedly, but things get rushed into the heart of the fragrance here with a lot of that amber. A very warm, comforting resin that's a little smoky as well. I think it's perfect for the fall weather if you are going to use this as a daily, you know, after work or something like that, but it also can lean formal because there's a sophistication to this stuff as well. Yeah, have some cistus labdanum here in the base too, but I'm also getting a lot of vanilla bourbon too. So if you're into a more intoxicating sweetness, I definitely think you get this stuff here as it keeps going and going and going. And trust me, you're going to get a decent amount of projection here for a designer scent. So it's a somewhat loud yet sophisticated ambery vanilla bourbon type of scent. Cozy, warm, and boozy, and won't break the bank as much as some of these aforementioned niche fragrances might, although it is still rather affordable on the designer level. This on discount is just absolutely insane. So if you see this stuff on Fragrance Buy among other domestic discounter sites, definitely don't sleep on it. It is Amber Malaki by Chopin for all of your upcoming autumnal needs. Alright forum, before we conclude this video, I, Manny from the not so distant past and or future, has something to say on behalf of our beloved sponsor for today, and that is Xter. Xter makes these really premium wallets that will definitely set you apart from the rest of the pack when it comes to coolness. And while there are other quick access RFID blocking wallets out there, I think this one with this kind of motion that you just push is the slickest I've ever personally used. Of course, you have a nice minimalist design here that I can't also get enough of. You just have all the essentials here. So nowadays you're not carrying that much cash and the world is largely going into a more digital direction. So why not go with something like this? But the real star of the show is this guy right here behind the wallet. This is your Xter Chipolo tracker card, and I think this thing is quite awesome. You kind of just slide it in back there and then you sync it to the Chipolo app on your iPhone and or Android. And from here, in case you misplace your wallet, you can actually find out where it is. So let me show you. So on the app, I can physically click on Ring to Find. And there you go. So wherever this is at, wherever you might have left it locally and or wherever, you'll always have access to it via the app, ensuring that you'll never lose the location of this wallet unless someone actually takes the tracker card out. But this thing works both ways too, because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm working at home, I always seem to misplace my actual phone. And now I can use this right here in the tracker card's buzzer to actually find my phone locally if it's just nearby. So also check this out now. I'm going to double click the tracker card. Come on, that's pretty cool, isn't it? I have to give a big shout out to them for sponsoring this video. So what I'm saying is, if you guys want, also support my sponsors because they're able to support this as far as furthermore financially. And just so you know, that love is furthermore reciprocated from our end. You'll get a discount on any of these great extra wallets using my affiliate link in the description below. It's only a summer seasonal automatic code applying, so please do not sleep. So it's specifically the Parliament wallet by Xter for the win. And hey, that was pretty fun for my most complimented fragrances list that you've never heard of. I hope you enjoyed this all, and I'd like to know from you guys in the comment section below, what do you guys think of this list? Have you heard of some of these? And are there potentially more most complimented fragrances that you guys might want to share with me? I'd love to know. Perhaps I will cover them in the near future. So yeah, definitely very interested in what you have to say. That being said, if you enjoy content like this, like the video to let me know that you do. And if you also want more of this stuff, if you have yet to, definitely subscribe and also hit that notification bell for more, so you can be amongst the first ones to watch. And until the next one, that about does it for me. Take care for now, forum. Peace out. Bye. Where are your fragrances?